So our last story we're going to do today is interesting for me because it's on the conspiracy list. It's on the iceberg conspiracy list. It was just 3 little letters. I looked it up. I found the information rather quickly, and I thought it had a beautiful image. I wanted to talk about it. It's very short, and it had kind of this beautiful imagery tied to it. And I've been thinking about it because I kind of try to chart out what I'm going to do for the week on this show. Past 2 days, I was like, okay, Thursday episode's about this, and I've been thinking about it. I'm like, that's kind of just a nice visual, but I don't know how much I can really say about it. And then today, something clicked. I thought, what if it's true? What if out of all the stuff I talk about, what if this one's true? So what it is, it's called the Bank of Souls. It's also known as, and forgive me if my pronunciation is wrong, you know how normally I'm really on top of this stuff, but it's the Guff. The Guff specifically is the Bank of Souls, but there's a few levels going on here. So what we first have is a amazingly, mind-bogglingly huge tree that spreads through the universe, across dimensions. It's everywhere, it's nowhere, it doesn't exist, it exists. And on that tree is the fruit of the most precious resource ever. That is and ever will be. And it's a soul. And what happens is when that soul gets ripe, it falls from the tree. And it falls into the Guff, which is a massive treasury of souls. This exists in what's known as Seventh Heaven, not the television show. That would be even weirder, but it's not. So in the Guff, these souls fall. And when a child is conceived on earth, the angel Gabriel reaches in, pulls out a soul, and brings it to earth. And the whole time this process is going on, this life before life, the tree is populated with blue jays that sing songs in joy of the life that is being created. It's a beautiful image. It's one of those things that when we look at ancient religion, the one thing I tell people, if people talk about the creation story or creation myth, however you want to look at it, the book of Genesis, I always say, how do you explain evolution to a caveman? How do you explain the creation of a soul to a caveman? You would say, look at that tree and see how that bears fruit. That is also where we come from, yet the tree is much more majestic. I do think it's interesting, too, that the human imagination is limitless, and whenever we talk about these metaphysical things, they take forms of objects that we know of, because even though our imagination is limitless, there's restrictions on it. It's this weird oxymoron. You can have these amazing characters in ancient religions and mythology, and they're like this creature who has existed before the universe was created. Has 3 heads, one of a lion, one of a crab, and one of a seahorse. And you're like, wait, those things didn't even exist before the universe was created. It's weird. There's this weird combination, because you can't just say, Cerberus was this creature that I can't even describe to you. I have to go, I was a dog with 3 heads. Call it a day. Who's Zeus? Who's this great god? I don't know, dude. He was a white dude with some lightning bolts. So it's weird, because these should be creatures that are indescribable. The tree of life should be something that actually can't be described, but we have to tell another human about it, so we have to make it a form that we know of. It's interesting to me. The limits of, maybe not imagination, but maybe the limits of communication. Because we may be able to picture something completely, something that we can never describe. I've always, in one of my stories, I had a color, and it was called amber blue. And it was a cross between blue and gold. And I can picture it. And I think everyone has their own idea of what amber blue would look like. But to me, it's like a blue honey. because it's not necessarily gold. It's like a thick yellow. And when you look at it, you see both the blue and the honey at the exact same time. One doesn't overpower the other. But if I asked someone to draw that for me, and I don't think they would be able to really give me the color that I wanted, the color that I picture. I'd be like, no, you need a little more honey. Wait, no, a little less. Okay, now a little more blue. Because the way that I'm communicating it to you, I don't know if you can picture it the same way I picture it. But anyways, I'm getting off topic. The point is, so I read the story about the Guff, the bank of souls where all human souls are kept. And I thought, that's a pretty story. It's on the conspiracy list, so I'm going to cover it, but it's really of no consequence. And then today I thought, wait a second. What if it's true? What if it's on that conspiracy list because maybe someone wanted people to look into Jewish mythology? Or maybe someone's like, hey, I'm going to put this on here because no one will guess that this one's true. There's different, and when I say it's true, the key factor to the bank of souls, the treasury of souls, is that there is a finite amount of souls. There's only so many souls to go around. Eventually, the tree, like all trees, will stop producing fruit. And when all the souls have fallen, and then Angel Gabriel, each time a child's conceived, is going to keep taking another one out of there. Eventually, he's going to be like, uh-oh, I only got like maybe a million left. He's pulling them out. 1.2 million people are born in India every month. That's a side fact that I thought was amazing. I think it's like 5 million people a month are born worldwide. I'm not trashing on India. I just think the fact that you could have one country that produces 1.2 million people in a month is amazing. But anyway, so Angel Gabriel's reaching in. He's pulling out these souls. And when it runs out, that's it. Time ends. The Messiah comes back. The war is on. And then everyone is in their respective realities for the rest of time. It's over. Reality as we know it is completely wiped off the map. So, obviously, to believe that theory, you have to believe a couple things. You have to believe, one, a human soul exists. Two, that there's a finite factor. And three, that you believe there's some sort of afterlife and there's an apocalyptic Armageddon thing coming up. But I think it's an interesting conspiracy theory because there's really only kind of three variations, three kind of thought processes on it. And there's, not necessarily three, but three main ones. One, you're an atheist and you just don't believe that human souls exist. Or maybe you're not an atheist, but you just don't believe human souls exist. That's one form of theory. Two, you have an Eastern form of mind where souls exist. Everything has a soul, and its souls are constantly being recycled over and over again, and every so often you'll achieve perfection and you'll be removed from the game board. But there's, for argument's sake, there's an infinite amount of souls because everything's living every single possible life. And the third one, that there is a finite amount of souls. And the third one is the Western side, where each person has one soul, and when you die, your soul is removed from this reality to never return. That's it. You're done. You're not coming back. Now, of course, in ancient Judaism and in ancient Christianity, there is talk of reincarnation, like the Gnostics in the beginning of Christianity. I'm not for sure how Islam looks at reincarnation, but so you have those three sets. So if you believe in the third one, if you believe that every person has one soul and once you die it goes to another reality, then the question comes down, do you believe that there's a fixed amount of souls in the universe or not? And if there's a fixed amount of souls in the universe, we're on a countdown. If there's an unlimited amount of souls, then it doesn't matter. Personally, I don't know what I believe as far as how many souls there are. I think reincarnation would actually be awesome because I like Earth. But if I died and went to heaven or went to another dimension or ascended, I'd be fine with that too. But I'd much rather just be like a squirrel for a while and then like a duck and then a shark or something like that. I definitely believe that there's souls, and I definitely believe there's life after death. If you're an atheist, that's totally fine. I get it. The evidence, for the most part, is on your side. I'm not knocking that at all. And it's funny, as skeptical as I am about a lot of stuff, people go, dude, I'm surprised you're even remotely religious, let alone believe in souls and stuff like that. You talk trash about all this other stuff. And I'm like, yeah, I'm a skeptic about a lot of stuff, but I'm not a skeptic about everything. You can, with all of my other beliefs, if you showed me proof that there were no Bigfoot people, big feet, there were no cryptids, or there were no aliens living underwater, or any of my other theories, and you're like, nope, the world is just bland and boring, there's nothing special about it, and you could prove to me 100% that was true, I'd be like, well, I guess that's true. But if you said, look, here's some measuring device showing that nothing happens after you die, you gave me all that information, I would still go, I'm going to keep believing that there's something after death. And I'm honest about that. That's just the way that I look at things. But imagine, back to the guff, I think that's interesting to think that every time a child conceives, this soul is being taken out and put into this thing. I'm not saying it is true. It really is just a religious belief, an ancient religious belief. I'm not saying it is true, but if it is true, that's the ultimate countdown clock. Because even if you don't believe in some sort of Messiah coming back or some sort of Armageddon happening, you just believe that there's a difference, there's a human soul in us. And it's finite. What happens when it runs out? Does the universe just shut down? Is it almost like you're putting coins in a game and that's your last man when that last soul is taken out? Interesting. So that one is on the conspiracy list as well. There's actually a lot of information about it because it is something that people have studied in the past. So if you're curious about that, definitely check it out. I found it fascinating, and I always liked that old mythological imagery and that idea of that there's something else out there that we're descending from. It's just kind of a beautiful imagery overall. The consequence of it is not so pretty. The fact that everyone just disappears and dies when this box runs out of stuff. But sometimes we get the good with the bad. That was a clip from our daily podcast, Dead Rabbit Radio. Dead Rabbit Radio is available anywhere that you listen to podcasts. It's daily paranormal, conspiracy, and true crime news. If you want to hear the full episode that this clip came from, check the link below. Please like and subscribe. And hit that little bell, too. That does some magical stuff. Thanks, guys.